Get your tickets now for the 23rd annual edition of the Outshine LGBTQ Plus Film Festival, happening April 23rd to May 2nd. Don't miss our incredible grand opening drive-in event, followed by 10 days of non-stop Get your tickets at OutshineFilm.com now.
Hey, all you Outshiners. Welcome to the 23rd Annual Outshine Film Festival Virtual Miami Edition. We're glad you joined us for the question and answer for the miraculous film, A Good Man. We look forward to talking to the director, our presenting sponsors, Gilead and Miami-Dade County. Thank you to our
Get your tickets now for the 23rd annual edition of the Outshine LGBTQ Plus Film Festival happening April 23rd to May 2nd. Don't miss our incredible grand opening drive-in event followed by 10 days of non-stop films from here and all around the world that you can watch at home. Watch trailers and get your tickets at OutshineFilm.com now.
Hey, all you Outshiners. Welcome to the 23rd Annual Outshine Film Festival Virtual Miami Edition. We're glad you joined us for the question and answer for the miraculous film, A Good Man. We look forward to talking to the director, Marie Castile Mention-Char, who is with us today. So we look forward to that. But first, a big thank you to our sponsors, our presenting sponsors, Gilead and Miami-Dade County. Thank you to our producer circle members. Those are people who really believe in what we do and come on board. We always say that, as American Express used to say, membership does have its privileges. So to find out more information on the producer circle, as well as all of the films in the festival, you can go to OutshineFilm.com and again, learn more about the producer circle and all the films. So without further ado, I'm very excited and honored to bring into this question and answer the co-writer and director, Marie Castile Mention-Char. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Now you're joining us from Paris?
Yes, I am.
Well, we appreciate you here. We always say that, you know, there certainly aren't any what I would call silver linings or good things to come out of what we've been through. But one of the things it allows us to do are talk to people like yourself who normally we wouldn't be able to do. So we're very excited that you've taken the time to join us.
Okay, well, I would have loved to fly to Miami.
And keep making films, and we'll keep having you. How's that?
Okay.
All right. A Good Man. What a beautiful, touching, I could go on and on with wonderful adjectives about the film. Talk a little bit about the process. First of all, how did it come to be? I mean, I know you co-wrote it, so talk a little bit about sort of how it came to be. And then, if you will, past that, talk about the process of, I don't think people understand how long it takes to actually make a movie. So sort of enlighten our audiences on both of those.
Sure. Well, as you said, I co-wrote it, and I co-wrote it with Christian Sonderegger, who made a documentary a few years ago that I helped produce because I'm a producer as well. I produce all my movies. And Christian was one of my former assistant, and he had a brother. His brother was a trans, F2M, and he made a documentary about his brother Jacob. The documentary was Kobe, named Kobe. And I met Jacob, of course, at when the documentary was done. And there was a very special moment in the documentary when Jacob was having a discussion with his older brother. And Jacob was living with a girl, Sarah, with whom he had a great and long relationship. They actually had been together before Jacob did his transition. Sarah didn't want to be pregnant. She was very scared about being pregnant. And Jacob really wanted to become a father and have children and have a family. And he was just about to do his surgery, his bottom surgery. And he had this discussion with his older brother where he was in front of this very huge dilemma for him, where the only way they could have a child, the most, naturally possible was for him to carry the child. But he was very impatient of doing his bottom surgery. So for him, it was a very big dilemma. And the conversation that he was having with his brother really impressed me because I could feel this very deep desire of becoming a parent. and at the same time for him to finish his transition. And I was totally impressed with this conversation, and that was the start for me of going through researching about F2M men who had been carrying their child. Of course, in America, there's a lot. This is happening quite a lot. I mean, compared to a country like France, even though it's starting now in France. But so I started to research, to have people witnessing about that, and that's how I wrote a Good Man. Have I
Right.
lost you?
Yeah, and talk a little bit about the process. Like, I'm sure it wasn't a quick process, but talk a little bit about the process of the writing and then the filming and finding the proper people and those kinds of things.
Yeah, well, the writing, as soon as I knew exactly the story that I was going to write, which was a love story, a story as I read a lot of love in all the witnesses that I had, and all the people who shared their stories, whether it was online, whether it was in person. It was quite fast. The process was quite fast as soon as I gathered all the information. That's how I work usually. I take a long time gathering a lot of information, and then when I start writing, it goes pretty fast. After that, of course, there was the casting in France. So I started to look for F2M actors, and that's when the difficulty started, because to produce this kind of movie in France, obviously it's not a how would you say, it's not like a big comedy that financiers are going to put money in instantly. It's a more difficult subject. So you need to have actors who have some kind of notoriety. I mean, that's financiers are going to invest in. And for the part of Benjamin, I casted not a lot of FPM actors because I didn't have access to a lot of them, and they was I didn't find an actor who had the experience, the profile that I was looking for. So I went to Noémie Merlan, who has been playing in 3 of my movies before, and who's an incredible actress. And we prepared a lot the movie, and that's how we made the movie. After that, then I asked Soko, who's and she lives in Los Angeles, but she loved the story. She loved this couple, their story, and that's how she came on board.
That's fantastic, and that's one of my questions is about Noémie Merlant, who is fairly well known, Portrait of a Lady on Fire and Jumbo, and yet she was Benjamin. You did not see her or what we know of her. How did you make that happen? How did you make this transformation that you really don't see her, you see Benjamin?
Well, because Noémie is an incredible actress. She is somebody who will work so hard at in how do you say, being able to get into a character and like she becomes the character that she plays. I mean, I worked with her on such different themes and subjects, and every time she amazes me on and she never takes it, you know, lightly. If she says yes to a part, she will do so much to really not betray the character that she's playing. So she worked quite a lot, and we decided that there was no Noemi anymore. He was Benjamin. I always called. I never where we shot in Brittany. Nobody knew that the principal actor was Noemi. Everybody thought that Benjamin was played by an actor, and everybody said he to her. There was no doubt in people's minds, and that's how he. And I'm sorry, I keep saying he about her because he was Benjamin. There was no doubt in my mind that um, she, she had become Benjamin before we started shooting, and while we were shooting, and even now today, and it's 2 years after the movie. I see Noemi quite often, and I have a. I keep sometimes, saying Ben when I speak to her, which is very weird. But
Yeah, well, I think that's an honor to both of you. The fact that she really embodied Benjamin and became Benjamin, and even in the States, things that utilize a famous actress, I have trouble not seeing that actress. But here, it was just phenomenal. Can you talk a little bit about? So, if I heard you right, in the initial story or the true story that the writing was based upon, Sarah, I believe, didn't necessarily want to have kids. Where
yeah,
the story, I think, Aude really wanted to have kids but wasn't able to.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah, talk
Yeah,
a little bit about
that's
that.
why it's not based exclusively on Jacob and his story. It was really just the beginning of my process about becoming a parent, wanting for Jacob so hard, so to become a parent. Um, so they didn't become a parent. Jacob went through his bottom surgery, actually regretted it after he did it. Jacob died last year, a year ago. So he will never become a father, unfortunately. The film is dedicated to his memory. But so it's not based on their story. It was really just this conversation that started the process. It's after that there was a lot of story that I read and about men who carried their child because their wife was unable to have children. So the most famous of them being now I have a black hole in my head. Help me, please. Oh God.
Oh, don't worry. We understand.
Okay, it's gonna come back to me. So yeah, so that's it's based on, that's why it's based on several stories that I uh, worked on.
Yeah, and I just the situation where Aude really wants to have children, and that to her and to many people in society is sort of the epitome of being a woman and the femininity. And here's Benjamin, who wants to be a man and for all intents and purposes is a man, yet he's asked to do or decide to do something that is so female. And that was such a powerful part of the story. And I found that to be so, again, so moving, that the love between them caused them, both to do something that was really difficult for them to do.
Yeah, for both of them, of course, because it's never easy. I mean, when hear F2M who talk about their pregnancy, who talk about stopping their hormonal treatment, who talk about going backwards to things physically that they really thought they would never go back to. It's not an easy process, and for the part of Soko, of Aude, it's not easy because we have been raised, we women, we have been raised with this idea that we are supposed to have children. We are supposed to be happy about becoming mothers. We are supposed to, it's this role that society has created for women and other that for men, and it's very difficult to get out of those structures that society, century after century, has put around us. So for her, it's difficult to have this, to find her place, because where do you find your own space when you really want to be a mother but you cannot carry, and then you have your man, your spouse, who does carry, it's like men. I mean, I have friends who men who really would like to be able to carry their child because they feel like they're left out, they feel they're cut out this parent process, of becoming parent, so it's very difficult, and it's everybody has their own individual way of living those things. There's no generality. It's everybody lives it differently. So yeah, it is it's not an easy process.
Yeah, no, and you sort of showed that throughout the process of the film, and that's truly appreciated. You keep talking about it being a love story, which is the bottom line. It is a love story with a trans character. Did you ever sort of feel like you had a special consideration because you were making a trans film? It's still really difficult, as you mentioned. It's not a commercial film. Do you feel any more pressure that you were making, sort of a trans film, even though it is a love story?
No. No, I felt very, how do you say? I felt a responsibility because I want this movie, when it's going to be released in France, hopefully in the fall now. I want it to be shared by the biggest number of people. I want for people who think that this kind of story is far from their universe, far from their world, that suddenly they realize that it's not, that they realize that what is the problem with it, and that maybe their ideas that they had, preconceived idea they have, just vanishes, just explodes, and that they, at the end of the movie, they just feel like, yeah, what's the problem? There's no problem. We're just talking about people wanting to become parents, and people can relate to that. People can relate to love. People can relate to wanting to become parent, and that's what matters. So I felt very responsible for people, for audience at the end of the movie, feeling that, being able, Noémie being able to pass that on to the audience, because that's what a great actor will do. It's not only just acting. It's about being able for the audience to feel what the character is going through, what the character is passing through the screen. but Soko is doing, and she needs to do that too. So as a director, as a film director, you feel very responsible for these to be achieved, and that the audience, at least a maximum of in the audience, because of course there's people who won't like the film, there's people who will be, I don't know, maybe shocked, maybe whatever. But at the end of the day, I really want the maximum to feel the essential of the film, which is, yeah, there's no problem.
Yeah, and I love that fact. And it is, you make the film you want to make, and you hope the majority of people see it. Yet you're still making the film you want to see without, what I would say, a compromise, which happens all too often.
Yeah.
The chemistry was wonderful between Benjamin and Ode. Was that just natural? Was there anything you sort of had to do to enhance that, or it was just so? Again, I keep using the word beautiful, but that's what it was. It was beautiful.
Yeah, well, it's when I told Noemi that Soko actually had asked to read the script. She had heard about the project, and she asked to read the script, and I could see in Noemi's eyes something that I had never seen. She was so excited. She didn't know Soko in person, but she had seen some of her films, and then she had heard songs that Soko did, and she was very, very like a groupie in front of a star. She was so excited, and I said, "Oh my God, this is so great!" Because for the movie, then it's for the couple. There's going to be something natural. There's going to be something that's just there. You don't need to create it. So all I asked of them before, I said, okay, I want you to build your story, to make your memories. What concerts have you seen together as a couple? What where did you travel? And just really build this story so that you have it in mind when we do the movie. And that you have those mutual references as a couple, like any couple. And I don't want to know about it. I want you to keep it secret. I want you to keep your intimate, your souvenirs, your memories. I want you to keep them for you as a couple would do. I don't want to know. And maybe you'll surprise me one day, because in a scene suddenly it will come out. And that's great. That's what I want. I want you to become a couple, and then I don't want to be part of it.
Well, and it worked. And is that typically your sort of directorial way? Do you sort of create the characters and then say,
I helped create the creation. Because of course, I like people who work, who work hard on what they do as actors. I did another movie where I had parents of supposedly actors who were playing parents of kids, teenagers who had left to rejoin ISIS, in Syria. And I had been working with real parents who had their kids live and sometimes died in Syria with ISIS. So I had a lot of testimonies in my head, and but I couldn't, of course, film real parents. So I had to create actors, playing those parents, but I wanted them to be real. I wanted them to, feel and be able. So it's the same thing. I worked with them to create those parents, the name of their kids, all of like a lifetime that they would create, and so that they could feel after when we did the movie, they could feel, what it was about. So that's what I like to do with my actors. Yes.
Well, it certainly worked in this, so we're happy for that process exists. We're running out of time, but I'm going to ask you one final question, and I think you've sort of answered this as we've talked about the film. But what is the takeaway? What's sort of the one thing, if you could say to people after they've watched your movie, this is what I wanted you to take away? Sort of, use that as a final thought.
Take away the last shot of this movie is just to see this couple. They're surrounded by life, surrounded by families. You never know. You never know when you look at a couple and you look at a family. You never know their story. You never know what's inside, and it doesn't matter. It's theirs, and all you need to see is love, respect, and that we have to respect, we have to honor, and we have to encourage people who want to become parents, and give them that opportunity, because it's a right that everybody should have.
Well, that's a beautiful end to a beautiful story. As I said, A Good Man was just a beautiful film. Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for telling your side of the story, your honesty, and we really appreciate it. And if you have not seen the movie yet, A Good Man, make sure you see it. A big thank you to Marie Castille Menchon-Char. Glad to have you. Thank you again. And we're going to leave you with a clip from the film.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.